The following is a demonstration of venting commercial tile roofs. Due to safety concerns, the Phoenix Fire Department does not ventilate residential tile roofs.
Hi, I'm Fred Demas. I'm standing in front of a tile prop that was built so we can demonstrate some techniques for commercial tile occupancy types that we may have to vent. Okay, so in this type here, we're using some veneer tile. It's put on in a specified manner required by the building codes for residential and commercial. The techniques we'll show you today are safer than what we've been doing, also to clarify any misconceptions about how to do it. This is a concrete tile roof prop, and that's what we'll be dealing with today. But there's two other types of roofs that we probably will not go to, even if they are commercial. One of them would be the clay tile, which takes quite a bit of tiles to make up a square, and each and every one of them is nailed individually. The other type is the type that is concreted in or mudded in, and those are the same way, except in that particular roof, they become solidified as one piece. So the increased dead load on that roof is dangerous, and also the difficulty of removing becomes another issue. And at this time, I would like to turn this over to Captain John Vardian, who is a specialist in this area, and he will give us our demonstration on techniques.
Okay, we're going to give a little overview here of the construction type on a tile roof. What we've got here, the typical setup on a tile roof is that you'll have your sheeting that is covered up your trusses. Generally, it's going to be 1/2 inch plywood or OSB on the newer construction. On top of that, we're going to have either a double layer of 30-pound or a layer of 40-pound cap sheet or a 90-pound layer on top of that. What the tile sits on is these 1x2 furring strips that are placed on top and nailed into the sheeting, and then your tile sits on with that groove on the top of the tile, lays on top of that furring strip, and that's what holds that tile onto there. We'll demonstrate over here and show you the working end of that. On a typical roof, this is the way it's going to be set up. The tiles are laid down over your sheeting on top of your furring strips. Your tile have a lip on one side and a groove on the other. One overlaps, they sit on that furring strip, and your next one will overlap with the groove on the opposite side. That holds together. Your next tile on top does the same thing and overlaps. We're going to demonstrate now how to walk on this tile without busting through tiles and causing some problems for yourself. If you take here, look on the side, you have an overlap on these tiles. Basically, your bottom third of the tile is where you want to walk on. If you walk on that point, you have solid material for your footing. The tile, battens, and the sheeting underneath are all in line. Now that becomes your solid spot. If you walk in between, what happens is it's an open spot. That's a weak point in that tile. Now you've busted that tile, which now we have problems of tile falling off the roof, plus our footing on this is going to be real bad. Now we have a chance of us falling off along with the tile. Okay, we're going to explain the nailing schedule on this and how this thing is attached to the roof. With the Monier guide here, what we've got is a nailing schedule that shows what's going to happen is on your overhang, the area that's from the outside of your bearing wall, generally all those tiles are going to be nailed. Generally that's so the wind doesn't come and pull that off. On a 5/12 pitch, per Monier specifications, on a 5/12 pitch and lower, the field part, which is the main part of the roof, out inside of the overhang, is not required to be nailed, which makes it a little easier for us to pull up. Generally after that, what usually happens is as you start getting higher pitches, or if somebody wanted more security to their roof, they would add some nails to that. Generally every second or third row is going to be nailed. That course of tile is going to be nailed. Okay, if you're moving across and run into a tile that will not move up, what this would probably mean is that you have run into a tile or a row that is nailed. If that's the case, either move over or go up to the next row, that tile should slide. As we're exiting, and we're going to get on this roof, if we're exiting the ladder, number one, we want to get as close as possible to where we want to vent on this. On tile roofs, we want to stop the indiscriminate travel over this roof. So we're going to try to get as close as possible. Before we step off onto this roof, we're going to take and we're going to slide one of these tiles up. If you take your pike pole, get on the front of it, push that tile forward, now we've got an area that we can probe. We haven't busted the tile, we haven't endangered the people that are coming up the ladder on this, and we've still figured out what we've got underneath here for sheeting. Okay, if we need to cut an inspection hole, take up 2 of those. We've got an area that we can cut an inspection hole and figure out what our sheeting is underneath. Make sure we have sheeting, that it is not skip sheeting, whether it's plywood, whether it's OSB, whether there's any fire underneath it. We can tell that all from this inspection hole right here. One thing we absolutely, positively do not want to do is walk on this tile roof without probing where we're going. Another thing is we don't want to take off cross country across this roof. We're going to walk on our walls to where we need to cut and go up sounding as we're going, doing this as safely as possible. The problem is that there's an area of this roof that does not have sheeting underneath. It's held up solely by the 1x2s. There is no way from the top that I can determine where that area is. The problem is if I walk across this, now I've just lost my life through that roof.
The key to safe roof operations is proper probing and sounding of the decking material on the roof. During the vertical ventilation operation, each crew member has an important role. First person up the ladder with a 6-foot pike pole pushes tile from the ladder and clears tile on both sides of the ladder. This gives him an adequate area to sound as he transitions from the ladder to the roof. As the lead person proceeds up the roof, he pushes tile and sounds in front of him and to his right. The second person off the ladder also has a pike pole and is pushing tile and probing in front of him and to his left. This pike pole may be longer for use in punching out the ceiling. The goal is to have a 180-degree area with exposed decking material and a determination that it is safe to walk on. As the crew moves toward the area where the hole is to be cut, tiles are pushed and the underlying decking is probed. The goal of the operation is to move enough tile to give adequate exposure to the decking while minimizing the breakage of the tile. The third crew member off of the ladder has the saw. This person is responsible for monitoring the tactical radio channel and serving as the roof operations oversight. It is up to the roof sector officer or his designee to determine if the roof is safe and to continuously monitor the conditions. The roof sector officer has the option to declare the roof untenable and pull the plug on the roof operation. 2 factors are going to dictate his decision. Number 1, amount of fire in the attic. Number 2, condition of the decking material. Once in the area where the cut is to be made, 2 members stack the tile off to the sides, clearing an area of all tile approximately 4 feet by 8 feet. This can either be done as shown, or the 2 crew members can work side by side with one person stacking to the right and one person stacking to the left. Stacking the tile, as opposed to haphazard removal, will prevent slip hazards and prevent the tile from indiscriminately sliding off the roof. While 2 crew members stack the tile, the third person keeps a broad focus of the operation and the roof and continually monitors the integrity of the roof, making sure it continues to be safe. Remember, it has been demonstrated over and over again on these types of roofs that the decking material will fail prior to truss failure. Proper probing will clue the crew into a roof that is being affected by the fire, and the crew will have time to make the appropriate adjustments. Once an appropriate size area is cleared, the cut can be made. It is highly recommended that a backup person be used to assist the cut person with footing and other safety issues. Once the operation is complete, the crew uses the same path cleared on the way up the roof to exit. The tiles are already moved, so the probe person only needs to probe those same areas to safely exit the roof. While conducting roof operations, it is advisable to have a pickhead axe on the roof. There are various ways to get it to the roof. It is up to the discretion of the crew to determine how the axe is going to be carried to the roof and which crew member is responsible for getting it there.